All right. How is everybody doing? Hope everybody is doing well. I hope your week is going well. The week was well, I guess, because it is Friday. Brain's not always working. It's okay. It happens. The days get weird and they mix together, and it is what it is. But anyway, before we jump into anything, I would like to remind everybody that this is a very family friendly oriented channel. I would ask you all to please be decent in the chat. No racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those very simple, easy rules, then those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches will boot you out because we are not going to tolerate that. Okay, so the children will come in and play their little games, and that's okay. They'll be taken care of. But because they don't learn, so but that's okay. But anyhow, all right. So what do you got? Dale is in the house. JJ's here. The High Desert Pioneer. Billy Wayne Norwood is in the house. We got Robert is here. Yes, here but driving. That's right. Dale in Ohio. Wishika's in the house as well. Yeah, we missed you in the live stream there, Wishika. Janet's here. Kathy's here. So, all right. Oh, so something's got to change, right? It's got to change. Can't keep going the way it's going. I want you guys to think about something. You think about what has gone on in our society over just even the last 4 years before Trump took back over again, right? Look how much wasteful spending was done. The deficit, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to give you my philosophy on something real quick, and you can think of it any way you want to. And I've talked about this before, but like we're what supposedly, right? Supposedly $36 trillion in debt or whatever it is now. It's going up all the time. That's all an illusion, right? It's all an illusion because the reality is if we decided tomorrow, right, and again, we're in debt to who? For what? Right? Realistically. Oh, we got to pay all this interest and it's just a big clown show. And people buy into it because we're told, right, this piece of paper is worth something, and that's what we're all working for, right? We're chasing that almighty buck all the time. We're always chasing that almighty dollar. No, never changes, right? And if you have more of them, that's the goal, to have more so you can get more stuff. Supposedly, if you have more, it makes you happy. That's not always the case in reality. So, JJ said, Ed, the whistleblower verified that all the pardons were done via AutoPen. Ah, so, isn't that interesting? So he didn't sign any of them, probably. That's interesting. I wonder if they could hold up in court. But anyway, we're supposedly they have this big debt. Oh, we got to do something. And they never do anything, right? Because it doesn't really exist. We're not really in that debt because if tomorrow, if the government decided, okay, let's go to the printing presses and print up that money and send it off, and now the debt is zero, right? It only is worth what we say it's worth because our government says it's worth. And what's it backed by? It's not backed by gold like it used to be until Nixon changed it in the 70s, right? 1974, if I'm not mistaken. He took us off the gold standard, right? So what is our dollar backed by? It's backed by our military. That's what it's backed by. Because if anybody complains or has an issue, let's see, like maybe Libya, that decided they wanted to go on a gold standard and not be part of the petrodollar anymore, right? Geez, I wonder what happened to Gaddafi. If I remember correctly, right? What happened to him? What happened to Saddam Hussein, right? Who also decided, you are freaking kidding me. It's over there. Go over there. There's the thing over there. You guys are not seeing this, but there's a very fat mouse. He's coming down. Oh, he's going over there. Where are you going? I went today. I can't believe this is very bold. He's a very bold mouse. But I went. Maybe I should put that over there. And I got a trap. The one of the traps where they eat the crap and then they die. So, um, but I don't think that he could get in there. I guess he's a pretty fat mouse, very fat mouse. And he came out, looked at me, stopped, went back, came back out, came out from under there. That's pretty wild. That was pretty wild, actually. Very bold mouse. So I got today. So I've been. So here's what I've been dealing with again. So I thought I got rid of all the mice. So I guess new mice came in. Yeah, I need to get a cat. I really do need to get a cat. And that would end that problem right there. But what I did in the meantime, I went out today. Been dealing with ants, just all out of the blue. All of a sudden, I got a bunch of ants I'm dealing with. So went out and got ant traps today, and I got this little box that you literally have to wear gloves when you put it into the trap. You have to wear gloves, and then you take the gloves off and get rid of the gloves. But that was pretty wild. He came across, and he went up behind over here. So that's nice. Anyway, I just was like, you got to be kidding me. But that's I guess he didn't. He's not concerned about me. I had a mouse come out, and both of my cats nailed it quick. Yeah, I need another cat. I do need to get a cat. So fatter babies on the way. I am not sure, but I'm not keeping no mice as no pet. I want to see them stuck to a glue trap or eat this other stuff and go and die somewhere. Not a fan. Not a fan. So anyway, so that was. I may have to change the positioning of that trap. Hold on one second, guys. I am gonna move this because he came right out over there, and I want to make sure that he can go get some of that. All right, so we're gonna move that to there, and we'll put that over there. So he sees that and says, "Wow, that looks delicious. I'll have to try some of that." All right. I saw where he came out, so I might as well put it where he can get it. But he was pretty fat. I don't know if he can get in there and get at that, but we'll see. They can squeeze themselves into some pretty tight spots. So, all right. Anyway, sorry about that. That completely caught me off guard. So, anyhow, all right. Let's get back to. So, something's got to change. We as a society cannot continue to do what we're doing. It's not workable. It's not going to work long term. We have way too many takers and not enough givers in our society. We just don't. We need more people to be stepping up, and more people are going the other way. They're becoming takers because the society is set up for people to be on the system. That's what they want at the end of the day, folks. They want you to be dependent on the system. So when you buck that trend and you go against that, they don't like that because you're not controllable, right? If they can't keep you, I mean, let's say, well, how do they keep us in control, right? So you look at the welfare system. The welfare system was designed and set up to break up the family, right? Because if you're a single mother and you have your kids and dad's not in the picture, well, we'll give you more money because we're helping you, right? We're giving you help. But then they become dependent on that and they don't have to work a lot of times. I mean, for years and years, that's the way it was. And then you, generation after generation, was going out, having a bunch of kids, sitting on their butts, collecting from the welfare system. And then, a lot of times I saw this personally happen a lot of times. People that really needed help could not get help, or they made just too much. They were working, trying to get ahead. Um, hey Ed, how's your weather up there? I heard colder weather for a week or so. Yeah, I was actually out today. Like I said, I went out and I got the mice thing and I got the ant things as well. I actually had I when I ride, I only wear a half helmet. I don't wear a full face shield. So I have this like mask thing that I can put on that keeps my face really warm, and it looks really cool actually. So I had to put that on today. Here we are, end of June or end of May, I'm sorry, and it was chilly. It was definitely chilly, but anyway, um, yeah, the welfare system sets people up for failure. It doesn't help. See, my thing is this again, and I've talked about this before. If we're going to help people, the way to help people is giving them a hand up, not a hand out. So, yes, be on the system. I think they've changed it now. You can only be on welfare for so long, and then you don't get any more benefits anymore. But the thing that they need to do, and in just my opinion, you educate people, right? Okay, you're going to be on a system, but if you're going to be on a system, you need to be in school for something, or or doing something like that. I know retired people on Social Security who can't get food stamps. I know it's insane. It's absolutely insane, and the food prices are out of control as well. That's just a fact. That is just a fact. What do we got? 160 people in the chat right now. We got 59 thumbs up. If you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to do so to show support for the channel. I do appreciate that. It really does make a huge difference with the algorithms. So I thank you for that as well. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. So look at the way taxes are, guys. We'll talk about that too. That's all part of the system to keep us oppressed. You can own a piece of property, right? So there's another thing. Is it better to own? Is it better to rent? Which is the best way to go? Well, if you rent, you never own anything, right? Nothing is yours. But in reality, if you live in suburbia, let's say you live in suburbia, I'll use the town that I used to live in. I used to live in Greece, New York, right? So you lived in Greece, New York, you bought your home, right? Your taxes were extremely high. The taxes were outrageously high. And so if you didn't pay your taxes, they could take your home away. So you could work 30 years, pay your mortgage off, a 30-year mortgage, right? So you paid 2.5 times what you originally bought the house for because of the interest and stuff like that. And now let's say you're down to only having to pay the taxes. Well, the taxes, if you don't pay them, they'll take your house away, right? You're not allowed to do anything on your property in a town like Greece, New York, without permission from the town. So you have to go and get a permit. And the worst part is, let's say I decide, screw the town. I'm not going to get a permit to put in a little shed in my backyard to store tools in my lawnmower or whatever, right? Well, then you got neighbors for sure that saw that you built that shed, and they're going to say, hey, they're going to check. Did he get a permit for that? And if you didn't get a permit for that, now you're going to get in trouble because you did not get a permit to do. I mean, it's a scam, it's a racket, and you got just like, okay, do you remember? And I'm going to use this as an example. New York City. We'll use New York City as a great example, right? During the whole COVID thing that was going on then, they had a hotline. If you saw someone not following the rules, whatever rules they put out there, you could call this hotline to rat on them. I mean, it's just the whole thing is just, it is insane. And people will fall into it, and they'll get in line, and they'll do as they're told. You will have people happily rat their neighbors out if just because, well, they're not following what we're supposed to do. Hey, Tony, Ed, if you own something, then you can't be taxed. But everyone who owns houses, property, cars, etc., they're taxed, even if it belongs to them. Exactly, and that's wrong. That's wrong. Once it's yours, you shouldn't be paying more taxes on it. You shouldn't. Um, it's just like, my kids are grown. Why do I have to pay a school tax? None of my kids are in school. They're all done. They're all grown. It's just it's a manipulation. And then they're always trying to pass new stuff all the time. Well, we want to do this project. It's going to help out the schools, and it's only going to cost you 2.5% more for 5 years, and whatever it is. It's all a big scam. All of it is. Taxes. If they have enough money to piss away as much as they have, that's been proven by Doge. And I'm going to tell you what, I honestly believe what Doge has found so far is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, how many departments are out there, right? They went into USAID. That's what they went into. Like that was the first one. Then they're gone into Social Security, and of course, oh my God, ones they're screaming, oh they're going to steal our Social Security numbers. They're going to have all your information. Let them find the corruption. Let them find that corruption and let them root it out and get rid of it. It's just the whole thing is such a mess, and so many people are screaming for it. We want more of this. Please keep us oppressed. Take away our rights. Don't let us have our freedoms. I had a conversation. I'll give you an example, okay? This just goes to the mindset. And I'm gonna describe this family. Had a conversation with a family. His husband, wife, and 2 kids. They all look sick, right? All very pale. None of them looked healthy. Start out with, okay? I asked them, I said, where are you guys from? And they were traveling. They were heading back to Illinois, right? They were on vacation going to visit some friends or family or something. And they were, coming back, and they were going to Illinois. And I was telling them, I said, I'm from the North originally as well. I'm from New York. And they were like, well, how did you end up in West Virginia? So we started talking, and I'm telling them, the weather, the taxes, the cost of land, and then I bring up, right, I go, and the gun laws down here are just absolutely fantastic. I said, they're not like New York at all. And at that point, the father says, oh, no, we don't want to talk about that. Uh, we're against guns. So I said to myself, I'm having a conversation with lunatic leftists. The reason, I want you to think about this. The reason that those type of people can have that type of mindset is because of people like me and everybody else who served this country doing what? Carrying a gun, right? Protecting this country, carrying a gun. The cops that protect them carry guns, but they're anti-guns, and they literally did not want to talk about it anymore about, because I was telling them about a little bit about it's open concealed carry, no permit needed, and they were like, no, we don't want to talk about that. And I respected that. I said, all right, no problem. We'll just stop. We won't talk about that anymore. But I cannot understand that mindset. I just can't. If you're anti-gun, that's great. Be anti-gun. Knock yourself out. But realize the only reason why you can be that way is because of people like me and everybody else that has served this country. That's the only reason you can be like that. And it's just amazing. Hey, Philip, good day. Welcome. Um, it's just amazing to me that I just, well, I did that motorcycle tour several years ago, and it was all, people from like the UK were coming over for that motorcycle tour. And I had some great conversations with those guys about guns and gun laws and all that type of stuff. And, they over there, they're completely disarmed in the UK. They, if you're part of a hunting club or a shooting range, there's like strict restrictions of how you have to store your guns, or you might not even be able to store them at home. They have to be at the place where you're shooting, all that kind of stuff. And it's just that, and it's like they just can't fathom that we have the freedoms here to be able to carry and protect ourselves and that type of stuff. But I will tell you what, I would find it hard pressed ever that anybody in this country is ever going to really allow that to happen. Notice how I say allow that to happen, because there is always going to be a breaking point. There's going to come a time when enough is enough, and people go, I'm not dealing with that anymore. That's not okay. Oh yeah, they're unarmed in the UK and they still have violence with knives. Of course they do. And now they have the stations, right, where you can get rid of knives, because now that they've gotten rid of the guns, Now knives are the problem. It's never going to stop. Or they use a vehicle, right? But what's going on here in this country and the amount of taxation that we have, and the pressure that people are under, and the cost of living, just trying to pay. Look at what rent, if you're a renter, how much that's gone up and how much that cost. I mean, it's insane. It is insane. So, when you talk about renting or owning, I remember I was in my 20s, and I was living in, I had a studio apartment, 3-story building, and I was on the third floor, which I was okay with that. I didn't care. I was in my 20s. What do I care, right? But on the second floor, there was a couple that lived in an apartment, and they'd been in the same apartment for 30 years. 30 years in the same apartment. And I remember at the time thinking, one of them dies or they die, they got nothing. Well, they got nothing to show for 30 years, right? They're renting. That's it. They're never going to own that. And they spent all this money and they own nothing. The problem with owning, now you have upkeep, right? You got to take care of stuff. And if something breaks down, you're not calling the landlord and saying, hey, this is broken, so have somebody come and fix it, right? I mean, it's your responsibility to take care of those different things like that. And it's, it's difficult. It's a lot more responsibility. But I like where I'm at here, okay, is a great example. There's a lot more freedoms. The farther away from traditional society, the more freedoms that you have. People mind their own business. They don't care what you're doing as long as you're not hurting anybody or doing, messed up stuff. But, and you have the freedom to be able to do what you want to do, without your neighbors like calling somebody on you all the time and all that type of stuff. But it's just, yeah, they're modern day serfs. Exactly. That's a great example of that. Absolutely. And they want you to be a slave to the system. So they sell you, right, this bill of goods, right? You have to have the big house. You have to have at least 2 cars. You have to have your toys. A boat, 4-wheelers, whatever the toys are that you want to have, right? So you got to have those. And so what ends up happening? People become a slave to their mortgage because now they got this big house, and they got to take care of things. And it's like, I know when I had the house in Greece, um, you know the first year that we had it, I was looking at the gas and electric bills, which were outrageous, and I was like, holy crap, I don't want to deal with this. So we had the fireplace, but 90% of the heat was going up the chimney. So I put in the insert, which obviously cost money to put that insert in. Well, it went from 90% going up the chimney to 90% efficient, where 90% of that heat was coming back into the house. Then the next thing that we did with the house, we had the foam insulation all blown into the attic. So, and man, I'll tell you what, doing that alone, huge difference in our bills. Huge difference, because we were keeping all the things in the house at 55 degrees. Everything all winter long was everything was always set at 55. We were upstairs, so we wanted to be cooler upstairs for living. And then I see you go. There he goes again. Where are you going? Go over into the thing. Yeah, go ahead. Go on over there. I'm having a conversation with a mouse. Go on. Go over into the. Yeah, you could fit in there. Go have a nice snack. There you go. Oh, he's up on the water dish. Oh, he's getting a drink of water. How nice. Yes, I don't want you to be thirsty. This is unbelievable, guys. I've never. Bold SOBs, I'm telling you. He's perched up on the edge of the water dish, having himself a nice drink right now. I want to see if he's going to go into that box. He was just sitting over here, Yeah, he wants to be my friend. Yeah, I want to be friendly with him. Have a snack and take care of that. So anyway, we'll let him do his thing. I want to watch and see if he goes into the thing and eats though. So, but anyhow, you know, so we did that foam insulation, which made a huge difference, and it brought our things down. And in the living room where we spent most of our time, which was where the wood stove was, right? Well, not wood stove, it was the insert in the fireplace. It would be 75, 80 degrees in that area all the time because we had the fire going constantly. And he's still drinking. I wonder if he went in there and ate already because I saw it over here again. So who knows? But yeah, hopefully have a snack and take a dirt nap. Exactly, that's what we want him to do. But yeah, it's I think partly the weather would brought everybody back in here, you know, because we had so much freaking rain. Going back that way again. All right. Well, hopefully we'll we'll see. I'll keep an eye on that bar of stuff and see where that's at. I can see through the top how much is going to be eaten or not. I'll know in a couple days. I'm sure that through the night they'll get over in there and have a little something to eat. So, but fun times. Always dealing with something. But yeah, so that hopefully will take care of that. No, the dogs won't. If they shouldn't. Hopefully not anyway. But so going back to what we were talking about, you know, so now you have this home, now you got to do all this maintenance. You got to, change out the windows, right? To get more efficient windows in your house so that you're not losing your heat. It's insane. It's just never ending. So I'm a huge advocate for trying to have as much freedom as you possibly can. Oh, good news too. Let me just let you guys know. The new inverter charge controller came in on Wednesday. And so Thursday morning, so it came in, I was at work. I asked my neighbor to grab it. I said, could you do me a huge favor? And he was like, sure. He goes, what? I said, I'm expecting a package on Thursday or Wednesday night. I said, or, sometime on Wednesday. I said, if it doesn't come before I go to work, I said, would you grab it, bring it in, and just set it on the four-wheeler for me? And he goes, yeah, no problem. So when I came home Wednesday night, sure enough, that box was sitting on the four-wheeler. So Thursday morning, I hooked it up, and you'll see that video. I think tomorrow you'll see that video. I didn't show me changing it out because I knew it was going to take some time. Because what I had to do is I pulled off the cover on the bottom, and I took like a bunch of pictures of the wiring, and did that, and then so when I disconnected everything, now I could look back and see exactly where things had to go with the new one. So I put the new one up. It was just an exchange, old system, new system, rewired everything. And so the cool thing with it was, so I killed the breakers. So and shut off the battery so that wasn't running as well. So there was no power to the system. So what ended up happening was it was funny because the wire coming in from the solar panels is hot. All right, that's the one you got to worry about. And see, the thing is, there's enough electricity; it can kill you. I mean, you have to be very careful. So, like when I disconnected the system from the start, the first two things I disconnected was the ground and the hot wire from the solar panel. So I disconnected that, and then I knew the rest of the box was good. So then I removed everything else. Like I said, took the old box out, put the new box in, and then rewired everything first. And the last thing I did was the other two the ground, put the ground in first and then the hot wire. And did I send off a couple of sparks? Yes, I did. But I'll tell you what, I was extra careful. I had Steve holding the flashlight for me. That was his job. His job was to hold the flashlight so that I could see really well what I was doing. And got it in, and so that went in yesterday. And the cool thing was, I know somebody had asked, are the batteries going to drain off, right? Um, No, JJ. The old box did not show any fry damage. Nope. So, but so what ended up happening was, um, the batteries, you were somebody had asked, did the batteries discharge? Well, when they're not being used, they're not discharging. So when I turned the battery, checked on the battery before I did everything, it was still at 91%. It was at 91% when the power went out. Okay. So as soon as I hooked everything up, I checked. Sure enough, it was charging, and so it's good to go. Really, really happy to have power again. You don't realize how much you miss it until you don't have it. It's so nice to, like I said, just to walk into the camper and flip the switch and the power's working. Where for like obviously about a week, what I had to do was go out, start the generator, and have power that way. So really awesome to be able to have power again. So happy about that. So yeah, it's always something, man. I tell you what. But I will tell you what I'm going to do. Can a breaker or a switch be installed on the main lines for the solar panels? There is a breaker in there. I just, there is already a breaker in there, and those were all fine. Those weren't touched by that lightning strike. There'll probably never be in the next 10 years or 20 years a strike that close again. I mean, it's just a freak of nature that happened, unfortunately. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save up money and I'm going to buy a second one of the charge controller inverters just so I have that backup. It's a good lesson to learn. You know what I mean? You think, oh, everything's good, it's untouchable, everything's going to be fine. Don't always work that way. It does not always work that way, but it happens, and like I said, it's a good lesson to learn. And also, when we had talked about people setting up independent systems on the property, which is going to be happening as well. Dave's already got his stuff to do that as well. So, and then I know Bud is planning on, getting his stuff going. But it's good to have multiples because if something happens like this, right, and all of a sudden I don't have that power, and it's a true SHTF situation, you why don't you get the first charge controller repaired service? It was fried, Philip. I mean, the thing's done. So, I still have it. I didn't throw it away, obviously. I don't think that they could fix that. I could, and where do you take it? You know what I mean? I don't even know if I could, do that. So I could ask. I mean, that would be something to ask. Hey, Auburn Prepper. Oh, he's asking somebody else how was their summer plans. Okay. He's asking Janice. I was like, wait, I thought he was asking me, but I guess not. Um, yeah, I could try it out, Philip. I could see if I make some phone calls and see. But anyway, if I could do that, that would be a cheaper way to do it. That's for sure. Yeah, the, I'm not even going to get into the EMP shield. I got offered something to work with that company, and I turned that down. Be honest with you, because you don't know if it's going to work until something happens, and that's not the time to find out if it actually works or doesn't work. I'm just saying, so I don't know how legitimate those things are. They could work 100%. I don't know. I just, I didn't feel comfortable backing that, and so that's why I never did. If that makes sense. So, Green Greg said that the EMP shield's wires are too thin. Yeah, like I said, I just, I didn't, I didn't feel comfortable backing that. I'm not going to tell somebody to go out and spend XYZ amount and then something happens and the freaking thing didn't work and they were counting on it to work. And again, that's not the time to find out that something doesn't work at that point in time. So what do we got? 241 in the chat, guys. We got 124 thumbs up. Again, if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to do so to show support for the channel. Again, I do appreciate that. Really does make a huge difference with the algorithm, so I thank you for that reason as well. Again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you also to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And thank you ahead of time for that. But anyway, going back to everything, you look what food prices have done. I mean, food prices are outrageous. Anybody on any kind of medications, those prices, that's highway robbery with them. Okay. Look at insurance companies, right? I mean, they screw people all the time. I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example. Now, I I have nothing on my license. I mean, I don't have anything. No points, no nothing. I've never had a DWI, knock on for Micah here, or anything like that. Nothing. My last accident that I was in was before the twins were born. I mean, it was before I even met their mom. So it's a long time, okay? And I pay quite a bit for insurance. I didn't think it was too bad in New York because I had the bike, the truck, and then the life insurance that I have. So it wasn't terrible. Okay. And then I come down here, and the amount of money that they wanted just to insure the truck, and it was outrageous. And like I said, I have nothing, and so I was like, well, wait a minute. I said, why is it so much down here? And they said, because so many people down here are driving around with no insurance, that the actual people that are paying insurance have to pay more. It's just like, I'm like, that's just not right. That is not right, So, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? I mean, basically, it was more than double from New York to here for the insurance. I mean, it's BS, and I only drive like 100 miles or less a week. So, hey, there's Village Homestead. But like I said, what's happening is not sustainable. I mean, think about it, folks. Think about how difficult it is for everybody. Anybody watching this channel, are you guys living the life of leisure and everything is fantastic? Or are you like most people struggling, trying to make ends meet, trying to save money, and then something comes up. Something's always going to come up. So, hey there, Ed. I hope your family can come and visit you soon and see the dogs and the chickens. Wishing you a happy and safe, blessed summer. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've talked to Heather, and hopefully she's going to come down at some point this year. I want her to. Definitely want her to come down. If she can come down for like a week, that would be awesome. Love to have her here. Like I said, the last time Heather was here at the property, we didn't have nothing on here. Last couple of years, I've gone up to New York. I mean, I was going back and forth quite a bit in the beginning, but yeah. So it's like, I've gone up there. So I mean, I'll tell you what, I miss the crap out of my daughter and my son. I wish I could see them more. But it's like I will never, ever, ever live in New York again. It's not even an option. So would I like ideally for her to come down and live down here? I would love that. But she's doing well. She's making decent money, and she's got to live her life, and I get it. Becky's doing well. Mom's doing good as well. I talk to mom every single day. I talk to mom every day. I talk to Heather every day. Um, with Becky, we probably talk maybe once a week or something like that. But did National Grid raise their rates? My budget plan went from $10 a few months ago, now another 15. I'm calling Tuesday. I'll give you a great example. So I was talking to a guy that I work with, and he just got a power bill for $900. Okay. And normally his power bill is under $100 a month. And they're trying to say to him, well, you use this much. And he's like, I don't use that much power in 6 months, let alone 1 month. So he's dealing with that. And see, the thing is, when the power companies control your power, And if you don't pay what they say you have to pay, they will shut you off. It's as simple as that. They don't care. And again, so that's a snowball effect, right? How is that a snowball effect? So you live in suburbia, right? You're in a nice little neighborhood and everything is beautiful. If your power gets shut off, the town will then come in and say, you have to have power hooked up to the home, or you will be in violation and we will condemn the home, because that's part of what they do in these municipalities. Okay. So they're all in cahoots. They're all in cahoots because more people would be independent if they could be, but they can't. And so they're stuck. You know, the one thing I can remember this when I was in New York, and it's Rochester Gas and Electric when I lived in Rochester. And every month I would get my bill, and there was one line every month that used to drive me insane. Used to drive me insane. And I've talked about this years ago. One thing said miscellaneous, right? 96 cents. And you think, that's not too bad. There's more than 1 million people in the greater Rochester area, okay? More than 1 million people. So let's break that down and say 200,000 customers, right? Say we'll call it 200,000 customers. So they're getting $200,000 a month for miscellaneous, right? Add that up over a year. That's a lot of money, folks. That's a lot of money a month, let alone over a year. And people don't complain. They don't say anything. Um, and if you're here illegally, you get everything bought and paid for by the taxpayers. Yeah, they've been doing that. Well, now that's getting stopped, which is great, because we shouldn't be. How big is a charge controller and how much is a charge controller? Charge controllers right now are right. They're normally about $1,000. They were on sale for like 800. But yeah, they're not cheap. But it's a charge controller inverter all in one. So that's But yeah, but what exactly is miscellaneous? That was my thing, JJ. Is that what go for the CEO's bonus? You know, you can't do nothing about it. You're stuck. And so that's why I decided I didn't want to be part of that system anymore. I wanted to be independent for a lot of reasons. Because, like, how many times have I told you guys, my number one biggest concern is there's going to be an attack on the power grid. I honestly believe that's coming. It's a matter of time, a matter of time. And when that happens, nobody's going to have power except for people that have independent systems. That'll be the only ones that have power, or they have a backup system of some sort. But if you have a backup system and it runs on propane, or if it runs on gas, it's only going to last for so long. As long as you have fuel to run it, that'll run. Well, with solar, you can, the next day the sun comes out, you're getting your stuff charged up again. And yeah, it can be initially expensive, but over time it does pay for itself. So, that's the crux of it. I would rather do it that way. I don't get the bill every month. And yes, again, people say, well, in the wintertime you have to pay gas to run your generator. I do, okay? But it's not costing me what it would cost me to be on the grid. And I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I want to be independent. I want to be having my freedom and stuff like that. So, that's all part of it as well. And you have to, like I said, it's all about decisions. What's good for you? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And you go from there. So, but yeah, it's just this whole situation made me realize I definitely needed to have a backup um, charge controller inverter, because without that, I don't think it's going to be an EMP bill in Norwood. I don't. And if it is, if I have the backup system, the backup stuff, um, all locked up in the shipping container, that should act as a Faraday cage itself, and it should be okay. So that's where anything extra that I get, that's where it's going to go. So. But oh yeah, and an extra 49 a month if you want to get rid of the smart meter. Ripped off either way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, it is that time, Larry. You're right. Okay. So one more time, we got 277 in the chat. We got 148 thumbs up. I'm going to ask again, if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, to please do so to show support for the channel. Again, I do appreciate that. It really does make a huge difference with the algorithms. The more interaction, the better. So thank you for that ahead of time. Again, also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well, and thank you. So, how many eggs today did we get? And yes or no for Miss Betty White. And we will go from there. And I'll give you guys a moment to get your guesses in. So, as you guys know, from the videos, I hope, we've just added 9 new hens, right? Now, obviously, they're not laying yet, which is fine. They will be down the road here. And that'll make it much more interesting because 3 of the hens are Easter eggers, like Miss Thickneck. So I have 3 little thicknecks that are there. And so we will see how they do. We have Australopes. We have 3 of those, and then we have 3 Rhode Island Reds that have gotten added on. So when we start doing the egg count down the road, it's going to be, did Betty White lay, and how many Easter eggers did we get today, and then what's the total egg count? So that'll make it more interesting. It'll be more difficult then. Instead of 5 hens, we're going to have 14. So big jump in that. But that's a good thing. That is absolutely a good thing. All right. If you had the same exact guess as guess who got it right today, DJ was in first with 4 eggs, and yes for Miss Betty White. So congratulations to DJ on your 575th win. I don't. It's not that much, but he's won a lot. Um, you've won absolutely nothing, but you are happy about it. So there we go. So that's good. Just a real quick reminder too. I will be live streaming on Sunday. So make sure you join us at 8 o'clock on Sunday. I will be live streaming then. It's looking like right now the live streams are going to be Fridays and Sundays. That's what it's looking like. So, but yeah, the chickens are looking really good. And I actually was talking about it a little bit in the private live stream earlier, what I'm going to do within the next couple of days. So probably, I think I might do a Sunday night, the live stream Sunday night, and it's dark. I'm going to go out. I'm going to take the chickies and put them in with the flock. So they'll all wake up in the morning and hey, here we're all together. It's the best time to do it because they're going to be the most chill, and it's not a big of a shock. And because they've been living side by side now for a week, it's gonna, they're used to them already, so they know that they're there, and that's the way we're going to do that with those new hens. So should be good. Should be good. So, but Ed, with many egg guesses, we might as well play Jeopardy. Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll make it more interesting in the chats to see if anybody actually gets the proper egg count. So it'll definitely make it more of a challenge. But anyway, yeah, it's like I said, so we got, actually it should be here very shortly. Rob is coming in to this weekend. He's bringing the countertop. Is coming in, and he's bringing the cabinets that are going to go up on the wall. So what we're going to be doing tomorrow early in the morning is we're going to be going to Lowe's. We want to get more T111 for the shower room, and we want to get at least one. We're going to get 1 sheet of plywood to put up underneath for the ceiling, because that way we can get the cabinets in that area, because they got to butt up against the ceiling. So we're going to be doing that. So we're going to get that going. So that'll be an early project. We got other stuff also coming in. Danny's coming in this weekend as well, and so we're going to be getting things. Audio is terrible. If you're having problems Um, sign out and sign back in if there's an issue. Yeah, I see a bunch of people dropped off. That's wild. But yeah, if there's any issues, sign out and sign back in and see if that helps. That's weird. It didn't work because I'm on my end here. It's everything sounds fine. I have no idea, guys. That's really wild. Maybe it's YouTube playing more games. Who knows? Didn't work, huh? I wonder why it's doing that. A lot of static. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm sorry. Because like I said, on my end, everything is fine. I'm not having any issues over here at all. So we can still understand. Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. That's messed up. Bad static, huh? I don't think it's the mic. No, mice isn't chewing on those wires. No, all those wires are good. So, huh. Well, hopefully we'll be taking care of these mice very, very shortly. So, I can't believe how bold he was just coming right out and just kind of hanging out there. And he was like looking at me and then went over, got himself a nice drink. That was really nice. So, but anyway, guys, we still having issues here. Can you guys hear me okay? We can still hear me though? Okay. Well, I'm sorry that there's issues. That's kind of messed up. But anyhow, going to be a busy weekend, which is going to be good. We're going to get a few things done this weekend ahead of the get together for next month. With getting some of the supplies in place, so when everybody gets here next month and we can get more of the T111 up on the battery room, I want to try to get the roof on or not the bedroom, the shower room. I'm sorry. Get the roof on the shower room and get more of the T111 up. Like I said, the focus right now moving forward is buttoning up the pavilion and getting that shower room squared away. And if we do both of those and get that done before the end of the year, plus get people's rain catchments set up and get their wood stoves in. So that's what kind of trees are you planting for your homestead? Good question, Silver Sage. What we added this year, we added 3 more cherry trees. Was it 3? Yeah, 3 more cherry. Was it? Or was it 4? No, I think it was 3. I think we added. I know we added apple trees this year. We put in 8 trees this year. No, it was 4 cherry trees. Put in 4 more cherry trees because we had 3 cherry trees already that have been here. This is year 3 on those cherry trees, and we put in 4 new cherry trees, and then we put on 4 new apple trees this year. And so with the apple trees, there's so many different kinds that you can get. So we have a bunch of apple trees in the upper meadow. These trees we put here in the lower meadow. And so our next step, the audio's better. Oh, that's cool. Our next step is we have 3 peach trees right now. We have four pear trees. So I definitely want to add more peach trees and then obviously more apples as well. So we're just going to keep building up. I would like to eventually, ultimate goal, I want to have about 10 cherry trees. I want to have 10 peach trees. I want to have 10 pear trees and then like 20 of different varieties of apples. So I would like to have about 50 trees, fruit trees altogether. Now we also this year we added 6 more blueberry bushes this year as well. So DJ has 29 wins so far. Wow. Okay. I mean, I knew he won a lot. He's won a lot. So yeah, way more than anybody else. So, but yeah, like I said, it's just we have a lot of plans. I'm not sure we're going to add any more trees this year because it's getting you really got to add those trees April, May is when you got to put those new trees in. Gives them time to get the roots established so that when you hit those drier months like July or June is kind of iffy, but July and August for sure. Um, those are going to be really, really dry months. So you want to make sure that they got their a time. Yeah, the plum or the fig trees. We have plum trees. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's right. We do have plum trees as well. We have 3 plum trees. So I actually want to add more plum trees as well. The fig trees, I do not believe I made it. So I it's kind of tough for them here. So I don't think we'll add more of those again. But I definitely would put in more plum trees as well. I want to get plouts. Have you guys ever had plout? It's a combination of a peach and a plum. They are amazing. They are amazing to eat, and you know that's definitely what I want to have. You know, a large variety of stuff so that we can do a lot of canning. That we have in season, all kinds of fruits and stuff like that to eat. That's the ultimate goal. So but it's a process and they take time. So the sooner and it's not cheap. I mean those cherry trees that we bought this year, they were $50 a pop for the cherry trees. The apple trees that we added this year were 35. And I can almost guarantee you it's gonna be more next year. So it's just we're just gonna keep adding each year as we can, and so that way it's kind of staggered. The first year we added, how many trees did we add that first year? We put in 3 cherries, we put in 3 peach, or no, 4 peach trees. So that's 7. We put in 5 pears, so that made 12. And then we had how many apples? I think maybe 5 apple trees that first year. So that was 17, and then we put in the 2 fig trees that they didn't make it, and I did lose one of the pear trees. One of the pear trees didn't make it, so we still have 4 of those. Last year we just added 3 fig trees last year. Not fig, I mean plum. 3 plum trees last year, and then this year we added 8 more. 4 cherry trees and 4 apple trees, and then we go from there. So we do some videos with your load from Lowe's strapped to your bike. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't think so. I think what we'll end up doing with that is we will have when everybody comes down, like with Rob coming down, we're making a run to Lowe's to get supplies. So because he's got the truck. So we'll be doing that. Yeah, apricots are good as well. Yeah, I don't know how well they'll grow here. So yeah, that I'm not 100% sure of. But pecan trees would be nice, but the pecan trees take a ton of water, and this is not an area conducive to pecan trees. So yeah, that was really sad. The guy, Cece and his wife, that was the stud for Hella, for the pups. They got pick of the litter, and they wanted a female. So there was Kali and another female that looked exactly the same. I mean, they were exactly the same. And I didn't want to get close to either one of the puppies, the females, because I wanted to wait till they picked which one they wanted, and then I go, okay, well then this one is mine. And then we had the little female that was left, and somebody obviously bought her. Actually, too, if anybody that bought one of the dogs from me, if you would send me some pictures in the email and give me some updates and let me know how those pups are doing, I would appreciate that. But anyway, what ended up happening, the female that they got ended up getting parvo, and it killed her, unfortunately. And they just called me the other day and said, that she had died, and I was like, holy crap. That's so sad, very, very sad. So, but and they're devastated. you know, they're absolutely devastated. So it's really, really sad to hear, you know, because, you know, you get these dogs, you want them, you know, 10, 12 years anyway. You hope, you know, when you get an animal, you know, it's like especially a shepherd, you're lucky to get about 12. If you get 12 years with a shepherd, it's a good run. So, but yeah, really, really sad to hear that. The pups here are doing great. Um, Genghis is not limping anymore, so I guess it was just a growth thing for him. He's doing really, really well. Now, if you guys remember, Caesar had that on the side of his neck, and that's long gone. Hella licked it off. It kind of started growing back again. She licked it off again and broke that open, and he's been fine ever since. No issues whatsoever. So, all right, guys, it's that time. I'm going to jump off of here. Please be safe. Please keep prepping. We never know what's going to happen, and it's really important to stay focused and take care of what we need to take care of. And remember the most important thing, right? STD, step, thing, and day. One step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you are trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you work at it methodically, it will happen. So just take your time, get your stuff squared away, work at it methodically, and go from there. Guys, be safe. I will see you all Sunday at 8 o'clock for the next live stream, and hopefully got some good progress updates for you. All right? I'll see you later. Prepping Nurse 1 out for now.